Hey everyone, welcome to the Rise and Above podcast. I'm your host, David Hess, and today we're diving into a topic that's crucial for achieving success in any area of your life: mindset. We'll explore how to master the fundamentals, whether you're starting your fitness journey, chasing a career goal, or pursuing your biggest dreams. Joining me today is my co host, Coach Tony. With years of experience in the health and fitness and performance training industry, Coach Tony brings valuable insights to help us break down how to get started and stay consistent on your journey. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer: we are not doctors. The tips and strategies we share are based on personal experiences and research. Always consult your physician before making any major changes to your health and fitness or lifestyle. Now, this episode is free for everyone to enjoy, but if you find value in what you hear today, we'd love for you to join us on Patreon. As a member, you'll get access to exclusive content, including full episodes, bonus interviews, and much more. Your support helps us keep bringing you great information and material. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and leave us a comment below. Let us know your thoughts and share how you're working to improve your mindset. All right, let's jump into today's episode and start building the foundation for success. All right. So a lot of people, when they first start out, have questions. They wonder how many reps should they be doing, how many sets they should be doing. They don't necessarily have a plan, and they ask all these questions. What are your thoughts on getting started?
Yeah, and that's exactly what happens. They have, this mentality of I want to get started with working out. And this is really for people, Dave, that have never done this before. The newbies, the beginners, right? And the freshmen, so to speak. And they're so anxious to get into this lifestyle of fitness that they're so worried about, the reps and the sets and how much weight should I be lifting and which body part should I be doing first. It's really the mental approach that has to be taken care of first. So when you're looking at this, you have to be thinking to yourself, why am I doing this? What is the mentality? What's the mindset? Why am I doing this? And I think, there could be a 5-part, display in front of you that you need to go over, not just in the very beginning, but throughout. The journey is going to change. The peaks, the highs and the lows, the valleys, the peaks. And so you may go back to this 5-point system that I put together. And it's not something that you're going to hear this from a lot of professional trainers out there when they talk about this. And I think one of the biggest things people need to know is the why. Why am I doing this? Some people are going to be doing this because, basically, um, they have a change of life. So you go to the doctors, and the doctor says to you, well, your A1C levels are up close to 7% now. You're basically diabetic. And that's folks, I'm not a doctor. I didn't play one on TV, and I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn last night. So I have no ability here to make a show here where I'm going to talk about medical issues. But you go to the doctor, Dave, and he tells you that your LDL is here, and that's not good. Your HDL is your cholesterol, your triglycerides, and you're looking at this and you're saying, okay, I have to do something. And the doctor will say, what? Exercise and nutrition. Change your eating lifestyle. Eat more of this and less of that, and get in the gym and start moving. And that's where they leave it. They don't set up a workout for you. They don't set up a nutritional plan for you. But you want to do that. And so that's a why. That's a why am I going to do this? Some people, and this is the first aspect, by the way, of the 5. Some people look at it like, I want to look better. When you look better, you feel better. And when you feel better, you get more things done. And they don't like the way they look. They don't like the way their clothes fit. They don't like their energy levels. So it has to be a why. You have to write these things down. Some people just want to impress other people. And right away, that gets stereotyped into a guy wants to look better for a girl he's trying to impress. That's very okay. You could put that in there, but there's so much more that goes into that. It's not just that. It's you're trying to make people that you have a lot of respect for. You want to make them proud of you. Your parents, your coaches, your mentors. And that's a why for a lot of people. You want to impress people. You want people to say good things about you. It's human nature. You want people to make comments to you. And although you may brush them off, you know that deep down inside you're saying to yourself, oh, that's kind of I'm kind of happy that people are noticing that, even when you're not noticing it, you know. Sometimes you're not noticing it, but you hear other people noticing it. And what does that do? That gives you motivation to keep going.
Gives you
So that,
confidence.
yeah, that's just one. That's one of the 5-part plan that I try to get people to understand if they're coming to me, whether they're young or old. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. I train people who are 75 years old. I train people who are 9 years old. Obviously, there's a different approach as a professional
Mhm.
trainer, but it's the same. It's the same makeup, and it's the same game plan. You just have to tweak it a little bit. So
So, being a fitness coach, which approach to fitness and getting started would you say is more sustainable in the long run? Like for I guess a goal. Because I feel like if you're doing something to impress somebody, that's only like momentary. Like that's only for the moment. It's not that's gonna fade away eventually.
it's definitely not something that you want to hold on to as your number one. You need to impress you, and that's something that over time, I think it becomes more of the norm for people who are lifelongers, so to speak, people who have been in the lifestyle of fitness and nutrition for a long period of time. It's not so much that you don't care anymore when people make the comment, "Wow, you look great," or "God bless you, you look like you're doing a fantastic job," or "Wow, look at you, you've been working out." Yeah.
Right.
It's not that you don't appreciate that; it's only human nature, but it's not something that you're looking for anymore. You don't walk into work think, I hope somebody notices the way my shirt fits today. Um, you're gonna get, it's even, this is kind of funny, but it's even interesting that it's not a compliment, but it is a compliment when you walk in with the shirt that's kind of tight fitting and you have your buddies, and what do they say? Is that a schmedium you're wearing there? Or you have your kids' clothes on? Or, and although it's not a compliment, quote unquote, it is a compliment, right?
Yeah.
It's your guy friends just, busting your chops a little bit. But you still kind of like it because what they're saying is, you look like you have some muscle on you, but they have to make sure they don't go down that road. They got to make sure that it's more of a busting your chops avenue than anything else. And so, um, I'm over here. I sound like somebody the way I'm going around the question while instead of just answering the question. Anyway, see, you could say things without really saying things,
Right,
folks.
right.
It's 2024. I will say that. But
Hopefully it's a little less misinformation spread on this podcast.
okay. There's our every episode. That's our political, jab. Um, really a pros and cons list is something that people should be doing. And this is actually the second aspect. They should be approaching this where, and a lot of times when I think about this second aspect that I've come to a conclusion is important. I don't even know what the cons list can be when it comes to that. But in anything in life, you should have a pros and cons list. Anything in life, when you're going to take on a new endeavor, you should have a pros and cons list. Listen, when I was working for General Motors in Lordstown, Ohio, literally 15 seconds after a gentleman stepped on the platform and said that we're closing and we're going to have to, there's going to have to be these options of moving to a different plant, moving out of your community, moving away from family. I literally went over to a red notebook that I had, red covered notebook, started writing pros and cons down. There's a lot of pros and cons there, in terms of that change of life. In this change of life, your cons list can't possibly be that big. One of the biggest cons people will put down is time consuming. I don't have time. That is not a con, that's an excuse, because there's a way around that, and that's a different show. But if it's a con for you because of how busy you are in life, then it's a con for you because that's how busy you are in life.
Yeah.
So um, you have to basically understand that you make this list out and then you start weighing the benefits, gaining muscle mass, gaining bone density, gaining energy levels, lowering cholesterol, gaining a better mindset. There's a huge connection between the mind and the body when it comes to being physically fit and working out. I named maybe 3 or 4 of 150,000 benefits. Cons, again, time consuming. I don't know. It's just it's something that people have to understand. The cons list is more for this reason. The cons list is more for this reason. When you are writing the cons down, my hope as a professional trainer is that you keep going back to that list. And as your fitness journey continues, you start to realize what a bunch of excuses you actually had sitting there in front of you. And
Hey there, listeners. If you're enjoying this episode of the Rise and Above podcast, we've got a treasure trove of exclusive content waiting for you on Patreon. Imagine it's like finding a secret stash of your favorite snacks, but for your brain. Full episodes, bonus interviews, behind the scenes moments, it's all there. Your support not only gets you these perks, but it also helps us keep doing the podcast. Seriously, without you, I might just start doing my podcast in my car. And Coach Tony here might just have to start charging me in push-ups. Nobody wants to see that. And while you're at it, follow the Rise and Above podcast on all social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. We're out here sharing motivational clips, updates, and maybe even a blooper or two. Help us grow by hitting that follow button, share the podcast with your friends, and leaving a comment or two or review. Every bit of support keeps us from resorting to the interpretive dance for funding. And believe me, you don't want to see that. So head on over to our Patreon, subscribe today, and let's keep rising above, because together we're unstoppable.
One of the pros and cons, like, it's not really a pro and con, but one of the things I realized that I go to the gym in the mornings before work every day.
yeah,
And one of the hardest aspects of going to the gym is waking up at 3:30 to go to the gym. And you're just tired no matter what. No matter what time you go to bed, you're exhausted. But one thing I've realized, the days that I don't go are the days that I feel like crap all day long.
yeah.
And then even if I don't want to go, but I end up going, I feel amazing afterwards. And so I guess for me, like, one of the cons would be like, I don't have time, I'm tired, I want more sleep. But then the pro, like, is, well, I know that if I go, no matter what, I'm going to feel good afterwards.
I so man, so we're going down another rabbit hole, and we
Yeah.
don't want to do that just yet for a lot of reasons. There's so much content there that we could cover. Number one, it's the mindset, because it becomes habitual, and once it becomes habitual and you don't do it, you feel off. You feel
Right.
like you're throwing yourself off, like something is wrong. It's also physical. It's also an actual it so when you're working out, in layman's terms here, ladies and gentlemen, your body releases chemicals to your brain.
Dopamine.
Yes, yes, and it actually creates that ability, that understanding, that makes you feel better about yourself. It makes you feel better in general. There's a big reason why we say don't work out right before you go to bed. Um, and why you work out. Some people will say, I work out and then I'm like wide awake. And there's a lot that goes into that, and love to have some doctors on the show that could talk about that chemical release into the brain and what happens there. So when you work out in the morning, it actually wakes you up. It's like a cup of caffeine. Um,
It
and
is.
it makes you feel better about your day, and it makes you feel like you accomplished something that you didn't think you can do. And even better yet, that pretty much 98% of the people in this world didn't do that morning. And so just that sense of well-being and that sense of accomplishment alone is what sets you up for success for the rest of the day.
Right.
So that's a pro, big time. Other cons here, and I wrote so much stuff down, but when we're talking about pros and cons, another pro is, and there's no arguing this, okay? And again, for another show in the future when it comes to getting in depth, in detail, but your life longer life percentage increases. All right, a healthier, longer life, your percentages increase. For those of you that are going to say, I know a guy that was in the greatest shape of his life and died at age 48. I said the percentages increase. I didn't say every single person that works out is going to live to be 95 years old. When it's your time it's your time. But if you're looking to increase the percentages twofold, exponentially, then work out.
Well, we also know people that were
Right.
shot multiple times and still lived, and they were
Yeah,
supposed to die.
yeah, exactly. I mean, um, listen, I have an athlete, and that I trained for a long period of time, all through her high school years, or I don't want to say all through her high school years, but maybe like junior, senior year. Developed a very good relationship with both her and her family, her mother and her father. She had a stroke, a massive stroke,
Whoa.
and it was the kind of stroke that people don't recover from, less than 1%. Okay. She's literally back to almost 100%. And when I tell you it's a journey that I hope that someday she'll come on the show and talk about, she is literally almost back to 100%. And one of the biggest reasons why she is in this situation that she's in now is because of the kind of physical condition her body was in, and her youth and her youth. And there's so much more that goes into that, but physical fitness had a lot to do with it. And so that's just an example of how that journey can help you tremendously when you hit other roadblocks and obstacles in life over time, for sure.
That's definitely another topic for another time, but that's
Sure.
one thing I talk about, all the time is having, some sort of muscular build to your body helps protect you. And, like, let's say you get into a car accident, you get whiplash. You have that muscles that are built up around your neck and your shoulders that help hold your neck together. It's not gonna say that you won't get injured, but your likelihood of your neck snapping and is, you know, it's a lot less.
It's a lot less, and let's say you do have a neck injury, your likelihood of recovering twice as fast as somebody who is not in shape, or who does not lead a lifestyle of fitness, or does not work on stability and mobility and balance exercises and flexibility and everything that goes into that. That, and again, another rabbit hole.
But
Um,
that's also a pro. That's something you could throw on the pros list,
Uh,
you know?
the pros list, Dave, should be literally 8 pages long, and the cons list should be a page long. That over time you keep scratching things out as you go up it. Um, there's really, I'd like to know what some of the excuses are. I really would. If you tell me that you had an unfortunate accident, and you're in a wheelchair, you're not telling me that you can't lead a lifestyle of fitness and nutrition.
Have you seen those videos of people in wheelchairs that are, like, doing pull-ups and
It's
competing in
crazy.
Olympic,
It's
sports?
crazy.
It's
Yeah.
insane. So
Yeah.
there's really absolutely no excuse.
No,
I
no.
had a gentleman on the podcast, and I think you listened to it, but, his name was Noah Galloway.
Yes.
He was an Army veteran who lost 2 limbs, I think in, like, Iraq or Afghanistan, and, um, he, was on the Dancing with the Stars. He's jacked. This dude is jacked.
Yes.
He's super fit, and he was on the, cover of Men's Health magazine. So there's absolutely no excuse.
No, there's not. And let me ask you a question when it comes to Noah. What do you think his number one reason for being able to accomplish that is? Just think,
Well, the first initial thing was he was doing it for his family.
and give me another one.
Um, I
I
would I would say, like, his mental, struggles, like, he was struggling with addiction, and he wanted to correct that.
Yeah, and his background from what he was doing in the military, um, you accomplish and overcome that. His story is crazy.
I'll link
It,
that I'll link
yeah,
that episode so people can go
yeah,
back and listen. It's a really good episode.
yeah. To overcome what he's overcome, um, it's almost like his lifestyle of fitness is easy compared to what he's overcome. I could see him every day that he's doing any type of workout, saying to himself, "What I've accomplished in life and overcome the adversity that most people will never deal with. I can go in there and do a little bit of a workout. I'll get a workout in today." And so again, it's the mentality, it's the mindset, which, man, it's hard to even fathom what he's gone through and how he's overcome, for sure. You know, you look at him, you look at David Goggins, you look at these type of guys, their mindsets are completely different. Completely different. You don't even need that mindset in order to have a lifestyle of fitness. You
Well,
really don't.
I look at these guys, and I don't think that they're doing it to impress people. I mean, I'm sure some of them are, but they're doing it for themselves. They're doing it for their families. They're doing it because they wanna be better in business. They do it because they know that working out and living a healthy lifestyle helps them be successful in life in general. It's not working out's not who they are, it's just part of their lifestyle. You know what I mean?
I think when you say family, a lot of people might think this is crazy. I hear a lot of people, a lot of success coaches will say this that I know personally. Fitness has to come before family. Now, people might literally fall off their chair when I say that, but if you are not capable of physically handling your own self, how are you supposed to handle your children? It's just like they tell you when you're in an airplane, when the oxygen mask drops down, put yours on first and then help others. If you can't breathe, how are you supposed to help everybody else around you? And people sometimes are amazed when I say that. I, I am 54 years old and have a soon to be 15-year-old and soon to be 12-year-old, like literally within a month and a half to a week from now. And I stay in the kind of shape I stay in because I want to be around when they hit 50 years old. That's going to require me to be in my 90s. So I started late. And so that's a motivation. That's a pro. That's a pro. But
Yeah.
I have to worry about my fitness before I worry about them.
Yeah.
And once I'm able to get my fitness in and continue to make sure I'm good, I have all the resources, all the tools necessary to make sure they're good.
Well, and that
And
that brings me to Tony, when you talk about that, fitness helps the mindset. It helps you be a better person every single day, and I think. And so, as far as, like, being a better parent, I think it helps you be a better parent. It helps
absolutely.
you, it helps with your emotions, it helps you be able to handle situations differently than you would if you were a little bit more had a little bit more anxiety. It's like, for me, working out helps, like, deplete my energy towards that anxiety. When I'm stressed about something and I go to the gym, I'm no longer stressed about it because I left it all in the gym. I
Yeah.
usually, push harder or whatever, and then I come home and I'm a better father.
It's a great way to release anxiety and make better choices as a parent instead of reacting emotionally. Be a great place for a clinical psychologist to be on the Rising Above podcast. It's just me thinking out loud.
I have one of
Where-
those.
yeah, yeah, where basically she can talk about, and the reason why I say she, folks, is because we have somebody in mind. um, but where she could talk about emotional behavior and emotional decision making and how that relates to a lifestyle of fitness. So that's just a plug in for sure. Just like David,
Oh, I
I got
love it.
have my Rising Above coffee cup here while we talk today.
I love that. That's awesome. Um,
Um,
I have
I
more
was
merch coming too here soon. I'll have it linked to this episode.
yeah, absolutely. Um, Number 3. So we talked about the pros and cons list. That was number 2. We talked about your why. Why are you doing it? Is it medical reasons? Is it to impress people? Number 3 uh, is something that you have to make sure that you do in the beginning of your journey. Not how many sets, how many reps. You're going to ask this of a professional trainer, Dave. You have to make sure that you have the right professional trainer. And people say, well, you're talking about somebody who is knowledgeable, right? Somebody who understands sets and reps and understands why you do split routines or why you do upper body, lower body, or why you every 6 weeks you change the routine, or why you're doing this many reps for this many sets. And why do they understand the difference between volume and intensity? The relationship between those two concepts. It goes further than that. You not only do you want to make sure you have somebody who understands what they're doing based on your needs, you also need somebody that you have a personal relationship with. And people say, well, I'm not there to have a personal relationship with them. You must be able to connect with the personal trainer. You can't go there and you don't connect with just because they're professionals and they understand maybe a little bit more about what you need than you do. Their job is to be able to get you motivated and to get you to understand, because the journey should not be that you're going to them 5 days a week, 30 days a month, 12 months a year for the rest of your life. The journey is to bring you in, guide you, teach you, and let you go so that you then understand. And then you come back to them every now and then. Something, I'm kind of stuck here with this plan. Give me something. Show me something a little bit more, and then set you free again. If you're going to a trainer 5 days a week, 6 days a week, and you're doing this for 5 years, that's not a good trainer. That's not a good trainer. It's not. That's not a trainer's job. And that's my own personal opinion. And I'm not gonna veer off from that. They have to understand, people have to understand you have to find the right kind of trainer. Not only are they knowledgeable, but that you can relate to. They have to be relatable to you. It doesn't always work out. I've had kids come to me that have been with me for 5 or 6 years, and they come to me less and less now as they get older. But their parents will reach out to me, or if they're young adults now. I've been a personal trainer. I've been a fitness conditioning athletic trainer now for 22 years. I have people now bringing their kids to me who I trained. All right. They'll come to me now and ask me questions. I'm maybe a 19 or a 20-year-old who I trained when they were 13, 14, 15, 16. Coach, how you doing? This is where I'm at now. I'm just trying to lead a lifestyle of fitness. I'm not competing anymore. I have a question for you. Remember when you told us this when I was younger? Give me some examples of, things like that. But they're not still coming to me on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday like they did when they were 14 years old.
This reminds me of when kind of my story of getting started into my fitness journey. Because when I started working out, I was probably like 19 years old, and I met a guy who owned a gym out in Perry, Michigan. It was called Functional Fitness. It's no longer open, but it's kind of a functional training gym. A lot of kettlebells, a lot of that kind of stuff, like functional movements, more CrossFit-y. Everybody was like, "Is this CrossFit?" I'm like, "No, it's not CrossFit. It's just functional training." Um, but I remember when I started, I knew nothing about working out, and I remember like just simply getting on a rower and any little bit of extenuating exercises would just make me feel like I'm dying. But like having somebody that I could connect with, somebody that I admired and somebody that I respected and somebody that I could just talk to while I'm, doing my workout helped me through my journey and taught me a lot. And then it just kind of set me up for success as time went on. Like I remember one of the things he told me because he started selling some of his equipment in his gym. I bought his squat rack that he had in his gym. It was the first rack I ever bought. And he's like, "Yep, that it would be the most important thing in your house because your children will see that and it'll make them want to work out. They'll see you working out at home and then they'll want to do it and it'll instill healthy habits in them." And so that kind of stuck with me. And so as time went on, kept buying more equipment and consistently worked out. And now I work out every single day. Work out religiously. Like I have to work out. That's my thing now. But that kind of goes back to like having a good trainer because I hired this guy as a trainer and then I slowly just kind of got away from having him as a trainer because he taught me the things necessary to be able to do what I wanted to do.
Yes. A trainer is in so many different ways. Obviously not medically licensed, didn't go to school for it, but a trainer has to almost be a psychiatrist at the same time.
Yeah, I agree.
They have to know what your mindset is. They have to know where you're at in life. They're going to ask you questions. If they don't care about the first question out of a trainer's mouth when you walk in is this is what my first question is. Tell me something great that happened to you today. Tell me what the best part of your day was. I ask every one of my athletes, that's the very first thing. They walk in and they already know the questions coming if they've been coming to me. Give me something good today. What happened? And give me something bad today. How'd you overcome it? Because as a trainer, you have to be a good listener and you have to hear what they're saying. And then you have to be able to now say to them, what happened out there on the other side of that door has to be left there. And now somehow you have to be able for the next hour to gear your mind to make you better in order to go back out there and tackle whatever you left out there. And it's amazing how much more focus they have when they go out that door after that hour session of focusing on you and letting the rest go. So you have to have that mindset as a trainer. It can't be, okay, 6 sets, 8 reps each set, and this is what's going to make your biceps look like the, Mount Everest. And that's not how that works.
I've been recently doing yoga and I've had a lot of stress in my life the last 6 months, and so my mind is always wandering. And wanting to get this podcast going again
Mhm.
has been a constant like thing on my mind. Just
Yeah.
stressed about all kinds of things, whatever. Um, but I've been going to yoga, and one of the things that the instructor always talks about is leaving whatever happened outside of those doors out there and focus on the moment. And it's hard. It's hard when you got other like severe things going on. I can imagine like if somebody died or whatever.
Mhm.
Your mind just wants to go to that. But if you can bring your mind to the present moment and then what you have going on in that moment, it sets you up for success. Because once you walk out of those doors, like you had mentioned, all that is just relieved and you can actually think clearer and better and you're more calm and relaxed. And in my opinion, sets me up for success.
Yoga, again, another show. We could do an entire show on yoga. We could do 5 shows on yoga. Um, it's just all about it's so much. It's about flexibility, stability, balance, coordination. It's about strength, endurance, for sure. Anybody who doesn't think it is, you go into reverse warrior and hold it there for 20 seconds. It's a wonderful concept, and the history behind it. If you look back into how it started and why it's in place. Some people think it's of the devil. I never have looked at it in that aspect at all, and that's just another show for
I
so
think
many.
I think for a lot of people that part boils down to a lot of like the spiritualness of yoga because it's a very spiritual practice. Um, I don't personally get too much and I don't understand it. I don't understand like the spiritualness aspect
Mhm.
of it too much. I just go for the physical fitness aspect because I know it's super beneficial.
It,
However, like, I know that it also does something to your spirit and your mind when you're there.
so if you, I'll tell you this, and this is just me, and I think a lot of people may follow this. If you go from prayer and meditation into yoga, it's a clearer mindset on your journey for that next 30 minutes to 45 minutes. Some people 90 minutes. I those are yogis. I can't do that. I don't have the I my ADD would kick in so bad and for over 90 minutes it's not even funny. It's just not me. I have a 40-minute routine I do, maybe 45 if I'm really slowing everything down and really concentrating. That's it. And that's what you're going to get from me when it comes to yoga. But you combine all that together, it's truly a great journey. And that's just and again, not to go we're going off a little bit on a tangent, which that's what a podcast does. I mean, we're having a conversation.
Absolutely.
Um
We're not just
and
talking points here.
Right, right. And so, I mean, basically, finding the right trainer. The last point I want to make about that before we go into number 4 is you have to find somebody who is, their timeliness is important. Um, they're not showing up to the training session 25 minutes after the start time. They're not telling you 2, 3 times a month, I can't make it today. Um, they tell you they're going to have something ready for you and they don't. They tell you you're going to be doing one workout and you're doing another one. There has to be preparation, there has to be timeliness. You have to find the right trainer, you have to be able to connect with them. It's very important. That's what you need to worry about more than how many sets, how many reps, and how quickly am I going to get to this point that I need
So
to get to.
when you talk about having, I guess, a plan essentially, when you go to a trainer, are you referring to a trainer coming up with a specific workout plan for that individual
Yes.
based on their desires and their wants and needs?
You first have to hear what their desires, their wants, their needs are. You have to hear, and you have to, as a trainer, you have to know what's realistic. Listen, if a guy who's 135 pounds, we're going to get into body types now, somota types. People have heard of ectomorph, endomorph, mesomorph. If I get an extreme ectomorph, his frame structure is literally that of, when you think of somebody like, I'm trying to think of a famous person who's extremely Pee Wee Herman. Okay. I just picked that. He just popped in my head. My 80s radar went off and Pee Wee Herman. Pee Wee Herman comes to me and says, "I want to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger." That's not realistic. I'm going to try and get Pee Wee Herman to look like the best Pee Wee Herman we could possibly. So he's saying he wants to be a lot bigger and a lot more muscular. Okay. You're not going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. All right.
Right.
And I'm going to be very straightforward with them from the very beginning. But I guarantee you, yeah, right. But I'm going to guarantee you that we could probably put on 15 to 20 pounds of muscle and have you at a 13, 14%, body fat percentage, and put you in a situation a year and a half from now that you will be extremely pleased when you look at that before and that after, when you see how those clothes fit, when you feel your energy levels, and you feel a lot better about yourself, and you have it's habitual. You have a lifestyle of fitness that you don't even need me for anymore.
Right.
Some talking points here and there. So you have to make sure that they're on a realistic journey, but you do need to know what it is they want. Some people don't want that. A lot of people don't want that. Some people just want camaraderie. Some people just want, they don't have anybody. They feel like they're very alone. They just enjoy that human interaction. Yep. So as a trainer, you're like, okay, let me make sure that we get them right physically, just to make them even more right mentally. And maybe they're on a journey spiritually as well. And let's get them back to that old person that they lost because of so many different trials and tribulations in life.
So I don't even know if this applies to, but I just had a random thought because it reminded me of a time that when I worked out at that gym. I would show up for personal training sessions, and there was this old guy, like old and like
50.
I would say he was probably he might be dead now, honestly. I don't know, but he was really old, and you could tell like the only reason why he went was to keep his body from breaking down.
Mm-hmm.
And where was I going with this point? What were you just talking about?
I was just talking about how some people are just looking for camaraderie in personal relationships because of all the trials and tribulations they've gone through in life. They don't want to just sit by themselves in their apartment. They don't want to sit by themselves in their house and just, they lost their wife of 55 years. Their kids live across country with their grandkids.
Yep.
Their brothers and sisters are all gone. They're 87 years old. They feel like they have nothing to live for. They don't want to just sit there and just say this is how it ends. They want desperately to find something and someone to develop a personal relationship with, not necessarily another girlfriend or another boyfriend, but somebody that can motivate them.
Right.
And that's what they're looking for.
A mentor, somebody.
Sure.
Everybody wants somebody that they can impress, somebody that like is happy and proud of them.
Yes.
And if you have a trainer who's simply just telling you while you're in the middle of working out, good job, good rep, like one more,
yeah,
I'm proud of you, like you conquered that, good job.
Yeah,
that feels good. That does something to you. I went to the gym this morning with a friend of mine, and I don't need somebody to tell me like, hey, like, oh, you're one more, good job, man. I don't need that. But when he told me that, I'm like, wow, that actually felt good. Like it felt good for him to be like, good job, man. Like that was hard.
Yeah.
And it's that sense of camaraderie, a sense of like pride that you get from being around people,
Training partners are important to a lot of people. I can go either way. I like training partners because of the motivational aspect. You got to boy, another show. You have to find the right one. You get somebody who's just gabbing away, or is on Facebook, like showing you, can you believe she just said that, or, yeah, I went political again. Yeah.
My morning workouts with Cipriano. Cipriano and I work out every morning together, and there for a while, he got me hooked on doing Wordle. And so he's doing Wordle in the gym. I'm doing Wordle in the gym. Next thing you know, it's like 4:45. I got to leave by 5 to get ready to go to work. And we're not even halfway through our workout.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, dude, I can no longer do this. I have to focus on working out because this is insane.
I'm going to be very transparent here. I don't even know what Wordle is.
It's like, it's a
Words
word
with friends.
It's so you get like a word a day, and you just go through and everybody listening is probably like, he's he's messing this up. Like he doesn't know what Wordle is.
I'm
But
with you.
essentially you just guess what the word is, and you get so many tries. You get like 5 tries or whatever, and so if you guess a letter right the first try, like, or whatever, whichever try, it highlights that letter, and you have to try to guess what the word is.
Okay.
It's fun. It's fun.
You just gave me more material to jab at Cipriano the next time I talk to him. But folks, in all honesty, it's Cipriano is a good friend of both of ours, and I could tell you this: he's an animal. He definitely works out, and I never seen a guy who can lift the way he lifts and run marathons. It's a completely amazing. His size and structure is not that of a marathon runner.
To
Yeah.
talk about mindset, his mindset, I've literally watched him over the last 2 months. He's been injured, he's trained for this Chicago marathon that he just did.
Mhm.
He didn't run for like 3 or 4 weeks leading up to the marathon, and then he just went and did the marathon.
Did the
And
marathon, and his only goal was
was
it wasn't a PR, it was not to stop running.
Yeah. And he did it in
Yeah.
like 3 hours and 45 minutes, which is insane because the marathon that I did in like 3 hours and 45 minutes. And I'm
Yeah,
like, that is fast. That is
yeah,
really fast. And I was extremely impressed and proud
yeah,
of him.
yeah,
That was awesome.
yeah, for sure. He's definitely a motivated guy. Sometimes too motivated. I keep telling him, "You better slow down a little bit," but he don't listen to me. He doesn't listen to the boomer. Even though I'm not a boomer, I'm Gen X, but I just let him have his fun. Um, but yeah, so when it comes to trainers, you need to be able to be on the same page, and you have to develop a relationship with them. So that's just another thing. That's the third thing that you have to be looking for before you're worried about sets and reps and how much weight you can lift and how much food you should be eating. Just another concept you need to have in place. And the fourth one of the 5, and this is a big one, and that's patience. In the society we live in today, Dave, patience, nobody has it. Everybody wants the Ozempic or Wegovy or whatever other thing is out there. And listen, for those of you who are saying, I take that shot, I lost this much weight, who are you to tell us? I didn't tell you don't do it. If that's the journey you want to take, so be it. But make sure whoever's leading you on that journey knows what you're going to have to do while you're taking that journey. Because if you think that you're going to take this is another show, but if you think you're going to take that shot and then just quit it at some point, you are sorely mistaken. And I'll leave it at that. We'll have a medical professional on that can talk more about that. Now, if you have a medical professional, or a nutritionist, people who are going to guide you through understanding that with that shot comes a lifestyle of fitness, comes a journey in nutrition and understanding, and in terms of nutritional well-being, and that you're going to do that the rest of your life and be on point, or you will gain every pound back. And they better be transparent with you and not be blowing smoke. You will gain every pound back, including some, if you just veer off a little bit. And I'm sorry if you don't understand that. And we can get into the hormonal changes. We can get into all that, but we're not going to do that in this show. But that's the problem, Dave, is that everybody wants to be on that journey. That shot is for diabetics. That shot is for people who are extremely obese, who are, you get in there and every 3 months they're taking your 3-month average of your A1C levels. And it's so ridiculous. And the doctor is trying to explain to you, you need to lose this much weight. We need to get you on this particular shot because this is a medical problem. When I get into all this stuff, when it comes to big pharma and medical, and what it's put us in, that's a whole different show. When it comes to the situation that big pharma and the CEOs of these large corporations, these breakfast cereals, and what they've done to this country since 1977 is completely amazing to me. How we've allowed us to get to where we're at. The FDA doesn't regulate. The FDA says Food and Drug Administration. They should just call it the DA because they don't regulate the food companies at all. And I
No.
mean at all.
But what's interesting is there are people, and I think it's through the advent of social media and independent journalists, essentially.
Mhm.
who are exposing these people. Like
Yeah.
there's the Food Babe. She's pretty popular, I think, on like TikTok and Instagram.
Mhm.
And she's extremely knowledgeable, but she's been in front of like Congress and the Senate or whatever,
Yes.
talking about like Kellogg's specifically and like the things that they're putting in cereal. She was actually just in Battle Creek like last week protesting Kellogg's because a lot of the things that they're putting in like uh, the cereal is like so many different chemicals that cause cancer, whereas like the cereal that they make for Canada doesn't even have any of those ingredients. In fact, the stuff that's sweetening the cereal are natural things like blueberries and um like watermelon, stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's weird.
Well,
But
we yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't mean to interrupt you on that one.
no, go ahead. It's
No, it's amazing if you. I have people that will try to tell me that this isn't true. It's 100% true. I can't tell you how many foods that we have over here in the United States that in Europe are banned. I mean, the list is literally pages long. And people, oh, that's not true. Yes, it is true, folks. It's 100% true. You're not allowed to have certain foods over there that completely destroy your digestive system from A to Z. And so that's a whole different story. But we are in the fast lane over here in the Western civilization where we want everything overnight, and we want to take this shot and we want to take that pill and we want to look like that in 2 months' time. And we want to make every excuse as to why we had to do it. And it's unfortunate that that's the route that we go sometimes, but it is. It is. And people can't stomach that because it's the truth. And the problem is that we don't have patience. And we're in a society where everything is the push of a button. So when you push a button and you get instant gratification, when you can watch the entire season of a show on Netflix instead of you have to wait till 8 o'clock every Wednesday night to watch an episode.
that's the best thing ever, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah. I don't listen. Cobra Kai comes out, and they come out with 10 episodes, and I'm done. I start watching at 4 o'clock on the Tuesday when it started, and by 8 o'clock, I'm done. I'm done. I watched the entire season.
For some
Eh,
reason, I feel like you identify more with the what's his name? The blonde guy.
I don't know.
The blonde instructor. What's his name?
The
He
blood
was the
instructor.
he was the
Oh, you're talking about Cobra Kai?
yeah, Cobra Kai.
Right, Johnny Lawrence?
Johnny Lawrence. Yeah, I feel like
I am Johnny Lawrence. Listen. Growing up in the 80s, we're going to go off on a little rant here real quick. Growing up in the 80s, okay? And I don't want to get into this too much. We can have an 80s show sometime if you want.
we definitely should.
Johnny Lawrence, he was the Karate Kid, not Ralph Macchio. Johnny Lawrence was the Karate Kid. I relate to him even more on Cobra Kai now than I relate to anybody in this world. William Zapka is the actor, and his character is me. If I was in that show, I would just follow him around with a microphone the whole time, for sure. But yeah, it's society is different now. It's life in the fast lane, and so people are in a hurry. And if you don't have patience when it comes to the overnight pill, and we don't stop that mentality, it's really we're going to crash. We're going to crash hard. We're committing suicide. We really are. It's just taking longer for it to take place.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's again other shows for that, but patience. You have to find that. You have to find that before you begin your lifestyle of fitness journey. Going and standing on the scale every time you get out of the gym, every morning when you wake up, horrible concept. Horrible. Throw the scale in the trash. If you're going to weigh yourself just for a benchmark, do it once a month. That's it. That's it. And research as to what you're actually looking at when you're looking at the weight on the scale. Research it. Understand why it's okay to weigh yourself every 5 weeks, every 4, 5, 6 weeks, and understand that so that you have the right mindset when you step on the scale. So if you get on the scale and all of a sudden you're 2 pounds heavier, but you're working out religiously and you're leading a lifestyle of fitness, you understand why that might have happened so that you're not all bent out of shape and going crazy. And then what do you want to do? You want to quit.
Mm-hmm.
You could sit there and say, okay, I understand what hormonal, attributes play a role here. And no big deal. Yeah.
Or maybe even dietary roles.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So patience has to be number 4. And number 5 to me may be the most important one. and that's preparing for failure. If you're a person who has a problem with failing at something, whew, you're in trouble. Um, you're going to have to understand. I suggest you start listening to motivational speakers like Tony Robbins, and Les Brown, Mr. Grossman, um, Eric Thomas, and I'm literally, there's a long, long list of people who are fantastic motivational speakers. But you need to listen to what they say about failure and understanding. Dave, there's not one person on the face of this earth. If you look at actors, I can guarantee you that Jack Nicholson, in the very beginning of his career, was laughed at one point or another in his young Hollywood career somewhere in the 60s, in the 1900s, for all you Generation Z out there. Yeah, I guarantee you that he was laughed at. I guarantee you that Al Pacino was laughed at in his very, very beginning of his career. He could tell you probably a story of how many times he was turned down script after script before he got to where he got to.
Well, I mean, look at one of the most significant movies of all time, Rocky.
Yes.
That was a movie script that was turned down, and then he decided to fund it himself.
Yeah. Listen, the story behind that script is the movie itself.
Yeah.
It's Sylvester Stallone's life story. They wanted to give him two. Now, listen, now in 1977, this is a lot of money. They wanted to give him, I believe, $250,000 for that script, which would equate to probably close to maybe $2 million today.
Wow.
So they wanted to give him and say, walk away. Folks, if you can't live off of $2 million and find a different avenue, I don't know what to tell you with what you can invest in and quadruple that in no time. But he said, no way. I have to be in this script. I have to play that role. Even Carl Weathers, when he was going in for the test run to become Apollo Creed, didn't realize that Sylvester Stallone was going to be the guy playing Rocky. And when they were reading back and forth with each other, Apollo Creed, Carl Weathers, said, while Sylvester Stallone was standing there, if you actually had the guy who was playing the role of Rocky in front of me, I could probably do a better job of playing Apollo Creed here in the test run. And Sylvester Stallone said to him, I am the guy playing Rocky. Yeah, it was, I mean, you think about some of the stories and how that all panned out. It's crazy that movie made it. And not only did it make it, it's how relevant it is today, just as much as it was in 1977.
I mean, it's the ultimate movie for the underdog. The ultimate movie.
It's not just a movie; it's a story. It's a journey that's gone from 5 to, or actually 6 movies. Balboa was the last one, and then right into a pathway off to the left just a little bit with I think 3 Creed movies now, even though Stallone had it out with Winkler and the people that were producing the Creed movies. They had they had a little falling out there, but nonetheless, it's still the story. It's still the journey, and how that story continues. And so that was a failure times 1,000 in the beginning. And look at where it's at. There's no failure is the stepping stone in the ladder to success. You have to let that step break, and you've got to fall down on your back, and then you've got to somehow try to skip over that step to get to the next one. One of them steps you're going to break again. Then you got to figure out how to get over that step. There's not one person in this world who is successful that didn't fail 1,000 times. There's no way. You're not going to succeed in a lifestyle of fitness and nutrition every time. In the beginning, you're going to succeed a lot, because if you've never worked out, your body is trying to adapt, and it's going to be a quick adaptation process. Your body's going to grow quickly. It's going to lose weight quickly. If you ever see that show, The Biggest Loser, although I don't agree with how they did that show, the beginning, they would lose 30 pounds in a week. And then as their body adapted to what they were doing, it was like a 2-pound gain, a 3-pound loss, a 1.5 pound loss, a 0.5 pound gain. And they were getting frustrated. But if you take the overall, they lost 90 pounds, 110 pounds in the journey. So it's that up and down, up and down, up and down. But the arrow continues to increase. It's that graph where you
Right.
have peaks and valleys, but in the end, it's like your 401k. My 401k lost almost $55,000 over the last 4 years. Anyway, um, but
But
it's gained it all back. So now I'm back to where I was at 4 years ago.
right.
So I'm winning. Okay, I'm done.
So
Yeah,
that
but yeah, go ahead.
that kind of brings us back to like, oh man, I just lost my train of thought.
Well, it's because I went on my political rant again, but go ahead.
We were talking about, well, for one, I wanted to mention you were talking about success, and one of the things that came to mind I think it's Thomas Edison who said, "I didn't develop um a thousand ways to do. I didn't learn a thousand ways to do. I found a thousand ways on how not to do it."
Right, right.
And I think that's important because, oh yeah, that was my point. The thing is with physical exercise and living a healthy lifestyle, eating right, everything, it's always a learning journey. It's never like, oh, you will know it and you'll stick to it your entire life. It will change and adapt as time goes on.
Yes.
And just like you were talking about, it goes up and it goes down, and like you learn your body and you learn what works and you learn what doesn't work. It's all a process. It's all part of the process. And so that's also part of the failure part aspect of it.
Yeah, it is. And all jokes aside, if you look at anything, if you look at the Dow Jones, if you look at, I use that as an example. In all honesty, all jokes aside, is because everybody looks at the Dow Jones, and everybody has an investment. Everybody looks at that as the do all say all. What's happening with my retirement, right? So when you look, folks, you'll see that at points in that journey, it was way down here, then it's up, then it's down, then it's up even further, down a little bit, up even further, way down. Now it's up even further than it ever was. It continues to have that peaks and valleys. And if you are adjusting your sales throughout the processes of the failure points of it, you will succeed in the end.
But if you zoom out and you look at, let's say, the last year, yeah,
Yeah.
you have these dips, but in the end, you're way up here as
Yeah.
opposed to being, way down here.
Yeah. You
And so,
take your money out, then you have failed, right?
right, yeah,
Failure is when you walk away and quit. That's when you failed. When you stay in the game and you keep getting up, that is where you've succeeded. And a lot of people need to understand that a lifestyle of fitness is just like so many other aspects in life. It's not the end game, it's the journey. The journey is what I love. I hate the end game. When I trained for Tough Mudders or any type of race like that I did in the past, it wasn't when the actual race happened. It was that 6 to 8 months of running outside with shorts and a tank top
yeah.
in the winter, to try and get into that element, that mindset, climbing hills with bricks, doing all that stuff so that I can get that mindset of what that Tough Mudder is going to be like. It was the journey and then accomplishing that, and that sense of accomplishment.
I think that would be another good topic for another episode because one of the things that I struggle with, because I've ran marathons, I've trained for different things. I train hard leading up to that moment, and then once you complete that moment, then that's it. And then you're left in this position of like, now what? Now what do I do?
But that's
And
a
so
go
what's
ahead.
that?
No, go
And
ahead.
so I think that like for me, like it's I don't know, I always take like like time off, and then it's hard to get back in, and I don't
I
know.
I think the time off thing is something that everybody should do, but they get a misunderstanding of what time off means. Time off means that you take an active lifestyle approach where you get out of the amount of aggression that you just put on your body, tearing it down and building it up, tearing it down and building it up. It kind of looks just like that graph that we
Right.
just talked about. And you get into, I'm going to take some time away from the stress that I'm putting on my body. I'm going to get into walking, biking, swimming, take a couple weeks off, even take days off where I don't do anything but relax, just do some stretching,
Mhm.
a lot of therapeutic modalities, a lot of sauna, a lot of ice bath, and just
Yeah.
reset my body and recover, and also meditate, pray on where is my journey next? What do I want to get into? Do I want to do another one of these where I get back to, I want to run another half marathon.
But
Okay.
the point that I wanted to get to was that, including myself, I've been guilty of this, is I've always felt like I needed something to train for. Like I had to have a purpose in order to go to the gym, to work out. Like I felt like I had to have something in order to go do it. But one of the things that I've come to, I'd say within the last year, is still doing it just out of habit, and then it becomes something that's just part of my daily process, something that's just part of me. And so you learn to enjoy the process as opposed to like doing it for a certain purpose. My purpose is completely changed. It's not to compete, it's not to be great at something, it's just be good at life.
Yeah, let me tell you this, your purpose will always change. Um, my purpose when I was 18 was I was tired of being 130 pounds and skinnier. If I turned sideways, I disappeared. Um, uh, I mean, I was a skinny guy. And I got tired of that. So that my purpose became to gain muscle. That's all my purpose was to gain muscle. Then my purpose became, when I started realizing how strong I was getting, it was to compete in powerlifting. And for 7 years, I was a complete maniac, trying to get stronger, 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 stronger. Probably not always doing it the right way, because I didn't really understand, um, what that journey was, and understand the science behind it.
Mm,
Then it was, I overcame so much in this journey in competing and understanding about committing to something. I want to teach young kids how to do this. So now my purpose became working with young athletes. Then it became, I want to help adults as well. Then my purpose became that. Then it was, I want to compete in these crazy tough mudder and Spartan races, and see what that's all about. Then that became my purpose. Then I started to get into distance running. That didn't go far. 5Ks, 10Ks, and I did it for like 2 years, probably competed in like 12 of them. And then I was like, I don't like this. I couldn't, I just didn't like it. It didn't really, it didn't really sit well with me. It wasn't something that I enjoyed at all. So I got away from the distance running. A lot of appreciation for all you guys out there that are doing the distance running. So you're now it's 100% to be in the best shape, feel good about myself, and be in the best shape I can so that I can throw the football with my grandkids one day,
abs-
and be a great grandfather. So that's my, so your purpose changes repeatedly over time.
Absolutely. Um, well, Coach Tony, thanks for doing the podcast.
Absolutely.
Was that that was all the talking points for this episode, correct?
Sure, 5 points to make, and your whole thing, and it's your why, it's your pros and cons list, it's finding the right trainer, your patience, and preparing for failure, and understanding what that is, and how to overcome that. Know all that, then worry about how many sets, how many reps, and how much protein you should be eating on a daily basis.
All right. Well, we'll leave it at that. And then yeah, we'll just wrap this episode up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to this journey, see where it takes us. And there's just so much more to offer to everybody out there. So stay tuned into the Rising Above podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I think you're going to enjoy it for sure.
Yep, for sure. Awesome. Well, thanks again, Tony. And till next time.
Absolutely.